everyone! This summer we took a trip to 4 states in New England: Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York. Come along with Rebecca as we go on our 2023 trip. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Our first state was Massachusetts. We stayed in Boston for the first couple of days. On our first day, we hopped on the T-Line into the city to the Boston Commons. We visited the cutest statue ever, Make Way for Ducklings. Rebecca even rode one of the ducklings, and when some random people started taking her picture, she felt like a celebrity. Then we walked the Freedom Trail, a long path that visits historical locations throughout Boston. We visited Faneuil Hall, the main meeting place for many of our founding fathers, and Paul Revere Mall, where we saw the church steeple where the lanterns were placed for the famous saying, "One if by land, two if by sea." The next day we visited the Minuteman National Historical Park and saw the North Bridge, the place where the shot heard round the world may have happened. Right down the road, we stopped at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. We saw some famous graves, but unfortunately no headless horsemen. On our last day in Massachusetts, we visited Plymouth and Cape Cod. We saw the Mayflower too, which looked pretty small for all those pilgrims, and Plymouth Rock, equally as small. Then we went on to Cape Cod. We drove to the very end of the Cape to Provincetown and to the Cape Cod National Seashore Visitors Center. We walked down to the beach and saw a horseshoe crab. We also stopped at Fort Hill Rural Historic District to see the views and also find cute animals like dragonflies, snails, and even wild turkeys. Then it was off to Rhode Island. Welcome to the smallest state in the country. We visited the Rhode Island State House, which was very ornate. Our next stop was the Breakers. This gigantic mansion was the summer cottage of the Vanderbilt family. We took the self-guided tour and everything was super fancy. After the tour, we drove on to Connecticut via the scenic route. We passed through neighborhoods with very big houses and a fun kite festival in the park. In Connecticut, we stopped for dinner in Mystic for Mystic Pizza. In Connecticut, we visited Wesleyan University, which had really cool buildings. And we saw a cute groundhog living near the dorms. After touring the school, we went blueberry and raspberry picking. This was super fun, and the fruit tasted really delicious, freshly picked. The next day, we said goodbye to the Constitution State and hello to the Empire State. We drove straight into New York City to the hotel before continuing our adventure into the city.
Rebecca is super excited to be back in her home state.
The first stop was the New York Public Library. It was the most impressive library we have ever been to. During our tour of the Rose main reading room, we learned that there are 7 stories of books underneath the library. That's crazy. We also visited Grand Central Station before heading over to the American Girl doll place. There were so many new items to see. Rebecca liked riding in the little blue car and seeing the AG dollhouse. Downstairs, they had lineups of the historical dolls and the Girl of the Year dolls. Then we walked straight to Times Square, which was insanely crowded. We spent most of the next day in Central Park. Who knew it would be so big? We saw some turtles and other animals, like this heron and some squirrels. The Alice in Wonderland statue was very cool, and Rebecca even got a picture with Hans Christian Andersen. And what's a tour of New York City without visiting the Statue of Liberty? Seeing Lady Liberty up close was super cool. We also saw a great view of the city skyline. Later, we walked a little bit on the Brooklyn Bridge and saw the city with the setting sun. Our last day in New York City was spent wandering around the city, from the Empire State Building to the Highline Park and even the Plaza Hotel. Then it was back on the plane and homeward bound. Bye bye, New York!